This is the story of the QMX Plus build, part 4. Today I'm going to go over the bandpass filter with you, and yes, that means winding toroids. I'm only going to do 2 of them on camera, but I'm going to tell you the differences between the different types of cores and how you can identify them in your kit, because there is a little bit of a mix-up, a little bit of a trick in there. It's not a big deal, but it is there. And then how to wind one of the multi-tap toroids, and then some troubleshooting steps with this particular radio board and these particular toroids and getting them all installed and happy. If you haven't seen the videos leading up to this, I will leave them linked in the description down below for you. Probably a good idea to watch them if you're in the build process and you want to get to that point, but these are all split out in case this is the point that you are stuck on and need some more information on. I gotcha. Make sure you are subscribed by hitting the subscribe button right down below my pretty face here and ringing the bell next to it so you will be notified when the next one in the series comes out. Let's get over to the workbench and start sewing. Oh, next up is more transformers. And these are going to be a little bit easier. And it says L502 consists of 10 turns of the only wire that we have wound on an FT37-43. And that's going to be the dull round ones, these 2 guys here. And these are the same shape as the shiny round ones. And these ones have a beveled, rounded over edge, and these ones here have kind of a coarse, hard edge. So that's how you know these are your Mix 43 toroids. The 37 is the outer diameter, which is going to be like 3.7 millimeters or something along those lines. It's not terribly important, but if you got out a measuring device and measured it, it would be in the ballpark of 37. And oh, okay, what Tio said makes sense now. And I just don't have one handy other than, you know, half an inch here. And I'm sure it's not inches that it's measured in. So just take my word for it. It'll be fine. They're the dull black color. Be careful not to mix them up with the T37s-10. And these are 37 also, so they're the same diameter, but they're a different mix. So that's, the first is, the T is toroid, the number is diameter, and then the second number is the mix or the composition or whatever, the type. So, wind 10 turns and install the toroid. And that one is L502, which is this one right here. So I need to take this, and I need to take this, and I need to wind up 10 turns. Does he say how much wire? About 17 centimeters of wire. See, this is where I need to get a good centimeter measuring device, because I don't have a good centimeter measuring device. So first we need to cut 17 centimeters of wire, which means first I need to figure out what 17 centimeters is. 6.7 inches. Now I can do that. I can make that happen. And while I am measuring that out, Hans discusses handedness, right-handedness versus left-handedness, right-handedness versus wrong-handedness. It really just describes how the toroid goes in and out of the mixture. And I am getting all kinds of wrapped around the far end of this guy. All right. 6.7 inches. Which is a little over 6.5 inches, which is going to be about there. All right, we'll put the wire away. So looking at the diagram that he's got in his manual, we want to start like that. So in through the bottom, over the top, towards the top. And I'll show you how to wind one of these, but after you wind one of them, it all makes sense. Every time you go through the center of the core, it is a turn. And the trick that I have learned is to group these into sets of 5. Or, you know, sets of 4 or whatever. Like if it's 16, 4 sets of 4. If it's 10, 2 sets of 5. So there is 3 turns. 4 turns. 5. 6, take some time, be neat about it. 7, 8, 9, and then the last one, turn number 10. And none of these turns should overlap any of the others. So there is my finished toroid. And because there's only 10 turns, I don't really need to group them in 2 sets of 5. I could count to 10. I could do that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to look for a picture of what this looks like on the board. And those turns are spread out evenly around the circumference of the core. So I'm going to spread them out. And it actually does make a difference as to whether they're spread out or they're grouped tightly together. And it depends on what you're actually trying to do when you build this thing, as to whether or not you want them spread out. If these were transformers in a antenna, for example, spreading them out or shrinking them up would change the SWR of the antenna ever so slightly. And then when you get that right, it slides right into the board at its location where it belongs. And then we're going to do that same thing. I'm going to fold the legs over so it kind of holds itself fairly tight. Warm up my soldering iron and get to soldering. And this is going to take some time. I got to dwell. I got to melt off the wire. And if it doesn't work, we'll have to find some test points. So I'm going to start off with the soldering iron warmer than normal because I already have a reputation with this board. Solder on the tip. And I'd go for about 15 seconds. And we'll switch my eyeballs out. And there is no test procedure for this, so this is going to be fun. Maybe what we can do is scrape off some of this extra enamel from the wire up here at the end and use our multimeter again. And what I'm doing is I'm testing the wire inside of the enamel with the solder blob outside of the whole works. And those both came out good. So what I'm going to do now is wind the rest of those toroids off camera, get them all installed, and then we'll come back, because you watching me sew is probably not the highlight of your day. And if it is, maybe there's some other things in ham radio that might be more exciting for you. Next up is the bandpass filter. I said I wasn't going to show you how I'm winding them, but I am going to show you what they actually are. In the build manual, he says 401, 403, 404, 405A, and 405B are the inductors that we're talking about here. And this is page 27 if you're keeping notes. This is a T50-2. And remember, I was telling you before that these are 37 size, and 37 represents the diameter, and this one here is 50. And you can see that 50 is bigger than 37 because that's how math works. I'm joking, but you know, that's where that whole thing comes from. So T50-2, and then we got a set of 4 of these guys and 1 of these. And he says T37-6 yellow or T37-10 shiny black. We'll get into this in a minute, so stick with me here. I'm going to use the black one. There's a reason for it. Next up is L403, which is T37-17. It is yellow on one side and blue on the other side. The next one up is L405A. T37-17, just like the last one, blue on one side, yellow on the other. And then finally the last one, L405B, is pink. And it's more peach than pink. Maybe it's more mauve. I don't know. But it's certainly not red. So he calls it pink. I'm going to call it pink. I'm not here to judge him. And then he says, note, L403, this one here, one of these two, could be supplied as black T37-10 or yellow T37-6. All kits contain at least one T37-6, this yellow one, which is always used for L506, which is not part of this. This is the 4 series, 401, 403, 404, 405A, 405B. So check if you have 4 shiny T37-10s, I do, then L403 is one of these. It is. Take care not to mix up with the dull matte black 37-43. And that's what I was saying before. This is your mix 43. This is your type 10. So I'm going to reserve this yellow one here for L506, as he says, and we're putting that one back in the stack. So time to wind these. Your winding chart is in the owner's manual. I'm going to wind it exactly like it says, and I showed you how to wind on the previous one, so we'll be back when they're done. Well, I take it back. We're going to do the windings together. All right, so first up is L403, because that's the one that he describes in the manual. And they all kind of work exactly the same. They're all a couple of turns around the core, a tap, and a couple of more turns around the core. So we're going to do L403 together, because that's the one that he does in the book. And L403 is this one. If you have 4 blacks and 1 yellow, use one of your 4 blacks. And the turns are different whether you use the black or the yellow. So pay attention to that in the manual. And I'm using the black, and it's 33 turns with a tap at 21 turns. We need 50 centimeters of wire, 19.68 inches. So take some care not to muff this up, not to kink it. And 19.68 gives you the margin that you need in order to have a little bit of fluff extra over, so you don't need to cut it any more than 19.68 inches, which is going to be right about there. And then same thing, I go through one turn like so, and then everything else is counterclockwise, anti-clockwise around the outside. And we need 33 turns with a tap at 21. So I got to go around 21 times and then stop. So I'll see you at 21 times. And again, you can do that trick where, you do 2 sets of 10 and 1, or 4 sets of 5 and 1, or whatever suits your fancy. What is that? 7 sets of 3, 3 sets of 7. All right, that should be 21. I'm going to group them and count them. Every turn through the center is a wrap. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's one set. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 is 2 sets, and that is 11 for 21 turns. So now we need to make a tap and then keep on winding. And I'm using 21 turns on a 10. You might be using 19 turns on a 6. So make a loop, and I'm making it just about thumb size, I guess. But, I probably have different size thumbs than you do. And then twist her up real good, leaving some of the loop open because we need to know where that loop is. And then we continue to go back around through for another 33 turns. So that was turn number 21 that went through. So this is turn number 22. And I'm kind of pinching it between my fingers there to give it a little bit of tension. And there are plenty of different techniques for it. Feel free to experiment. Right, and there is our 3-tap wonder. So we get to install it and move on. And this was 403, which was not the first one. It's that one right there. And you have 1, 2, 3. Okay, so this is 0 position here. This is the last tap is 2. And then this is the middle tap is 3. And you can see I have plenty of wire left over, so there's no real need to fluff too much on Hans's measurements there. Shove that through the hole. I can even cut this, but I'm not going to. And then that also makes that one line up just fine. So where's my cutters? Cut open the loop. And then I can flatten those out and shove that through. Okay, and then on the back side, bend them over so that they hold the toroid in place where you want it. It ain't going nowhere. All my turns look pretty good. Okay, time to solder them down. I'm going to change my eyeballs for this. Same thing here, we're trying to burn off the enamel from the enamel wire. So I'm going to use some heat and I'm going to dwell. Should smell like Band-Aids. Count to 15. And if you're really paying attention and you have good eyes, you'll notice that around the edges of where you apply the solder, it actually starts to bubble up once it finally gets to the melting point of the enamel. And then this last one here, I'm burning through 2 pieces of enamel. And then we'll test them in the way I showed you before, and they'll be good, and we'll keep on moving on. All right, we are back. 12 toroids later, we're back. So that is all of these guys and this one here. And next up, we have this guy here, the spider toroid. It's only got 6 legs, but it sounds better to say spider toroid than ant toroid. And that one goes right there. There are a couple of tricks that I did for this one here. Mine might be a little bit different than yours. I don't know. Start off easy and then work your way into harder and harder as time goes by. What I did was got these guys all wounded up. Then I used my counting method in order to make sure I had the right number of turns. And then I inserted them in the board and put some solder on, gave it a 20-second count, switched to the other leg, put some solder on, gave it a 20-second count, switched back to the first leg, touched up any solder that needed to be touched up, gave it an additional 20-second count, and then switched back to the second leg, gave it an additional 20-second count, maybe some extra solder as well. What happens is you're trying to burn off the enamel on the enamel wire, and it does take some time, and there's a lot of ground plane on the board, and there's a lot of heat dissipation area, so you've got to get some heat in it. Been running my soldering iron at 840 just in order to get this stuff done. I would wind a toroid I would count the turns, I would install on the board, and then I'd go wind the next toroid and count the turns and install on the board. I did actually install one in the wrong location, one of the 160-meter toroids I put up here in the 80-meter space. Getting the toroid out was easy. Getting the toroid back into the new spot where it belongs was easy. Cleaning all the solder out of the solder holes was next to impossible. I used every trick that I have, and then I had to go learn a new trick, which was to take a dental pick, which apparently is a different kind of metal that doesn't get solder stuck to it. Heat up the solder till it's molten, push the pick through, which left a little teeny tiny hole that was about the size of the magnet wire, and I was able to then get it back in. That probably took an hour and a half to 2 hours to get to the other end of that mess. So measure thrice, cut once, because it's going to be a pain in the butt if you don't get it right the first time. Get my meter in continuity mode, and what I would do is if the pads, let's see if I can find one here. If the pads themselves had continuity, then I know that my toroid has been properly, the enamel wire has been properly melted off and it's good to go and I'm ready to move on. If they haven't, I still have that long leg that comes out. So I would scrape off the enamel with my pocket knife, and then I would check from the solder pad itself, the blob on the pad, to the wire. And if I got continuity from the pad to the wire, then that is a good match. And then over here, if I didn't get continuity from the pad to the wire, then this is the one that I needed to work on. So I would add some more solder possibly, I would dwell on it for another 20 seconds, and then I would test it again. And towards the end, I was getting it to where every single time I put it in, 20, 20, 20, 20, test, everything was good. So might be a little bit different for you, but that was some of the experience that I had. And that is how I do that. Wrapped, tapped, installed, and tested. We got it done, and there is still more of this radio to build, so make sure you are subscribed to the channel to see the next videos in the series when they come out. And I have a bunch of links in the description down below for you for all of the tools and toys and tricks that I used in this build to get us this far. So check those out as well. If you haven't watched part 3 in the series, I will link that one right here, and part 5 will be here when it's ready. Thanks for being awesome. I'll see you over there.